Hi, I'm Jack. Welcome to the No Limits Business Lounge.
So today I'm speaking to Craig, who's the Managing Director of Tiger, Sales and Lettings. They do everything from property management to investment properties. So listen to this guy because he knows what he's talking about. Lovely to meet you.
Yeah, and you.
So we've been having a chat off camera quite a bit about holidays and business, etc. But just to confirm to everyone, today is the first time we've met.
First time we've ever met.
First time we've ever spoken.
Yeah.
So it's not a case of this is scripted at all.
No.
And they will tell you, I don't script anything, I just go off the...
And I don't know what's to come, which...
So we'll just have a chat. But the only rule on this is we try to be as honest as possible. I try to ask as many questions, and the answers that you give, I'd like you to be honest, but you do get one veto. If you're not comfortable saying something, you get the one chance to say, hang on, no, can't answer that. Okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Fair? Vice versa works the same way.
Yeah.
So why don't you start off by telling me who you are, where we are, and what this business is.
So you come to our head office today. I'm Craig. I'm the Managing Director of Tiger. I set Tiger up in 2008 as a property lettings company and management company. We were kind of working the lower end of the market and dealing with lots of housing benefit tenants and flat lets, and kind of from there we're at the position where we are today, where we have maintenance companies, auction companies, estate agencies, lettings, management, building companies, and we're managing 2,000 units across the Northwest. So yeah, that's a little bit about
fair to say you've seen some growth then.
Yeah, we've seen some growth.
So the place where I want to start is actually 2008. You mentioned the year, and we all know what happened in 2008.
Yeah.
Property market crash.
Yeah.
Did you start before or after?
I started after.
Just after?
Actually, probably during the crash. And the reason I kind of got involved, I was a trained surveyor. I went through university and did a drinking course at uni and in doing geography, which has no real interlink into property. And towards the end of my 3 years at uni, I was like, I probably need to do something that I kind of enjoy and want to do and career. And it was surveying, but kind of a path that I went down.
So is that your link to sort of the industry then?
Yeah, that's my link to the industry. When I was at uni in summer, I actually worked for a property management company, just doing general maintenance and a couple of viewings on lettings and flats and houses that were looking to be rented. So that was kind of my link. I knew I enjoyed property and everything. So after uni, I did a conversion course through College of Estate Management. I got a job as a graduate surveyor, learned my trade over 2 years, and then the opportunity kind of arose that there was a market crash, and I kind of seen a little niche in the market.
What was the niche?
The niche was people couldn't get the rent.
Yeah.
People couldn't get the rent in, so landlords were really struggling. Banks were recalling loans, and people just wanted to get money in. And I kind of seen a part of the market where I was like, I can probably help some people just by getting rent in, getting tenants for places that were available, and kind of just went from there really. And that grew to an extent that I ended up getting involved with a company that wasn't really performing. Ended up buying that company. I ended up buying its competitor as well.
What type of company was it?
We were both property lettings and management companies, and we both needed tidied up. The companies themselves weren't bad companies. We weren't doing things properly. We were doing things quite old hat. I looked at it and went, if we put them together, we might have a go at something. And at that stage, it was just an idea, and I was 23 at the time.
So how did you manage to, well, the obvious question, fund the purchase of two companies?
Well, here's the interesting bit. I'd bought a property with my student loan when I was at uni, and I lived off the rental income. I sold that property to then buy these companies. There wasn't a lot left. So what I actually said was to these owners of the companies, listen, not saying you're not very good at what you're doing, but I think I can do something slightly better. Why don't I give you shares in this company? I'll run it, and then it'll work for all of us. Unfortunately, they went with that idea, and I was able to grow it. And over time, I got rid of the shareholders by buying the shares out by certain different means and everything. So yeah, that's how we did it.
One of the sort of motifs of all the chats that I have with business owners is always the risk element.
Yeah.
That's one hell of a risk at 23.
Yeah. I always actually look back and go, I probably was at the right stage of my life at 23 to do it. I had no family. I had no commitments. If it went wrong, it was on me. There wasn't a lot of risk. If I'd done it 15 years later with a wife and 2 kids and a mortgage, I probably would have been a little bit more kind of concerned about the risk. But at 23, you think you're invincible and nothing can ever go wrong. Unfortunately, I didn't have any commitment, so I could work hard.
Why do you think people of that age now have stopped being like that?
I think it's a generational problem.
Yeah.
I think we see it in, I'm always a big believer in youth, and youth is great for a business as well because they do things, the youth can bring things to a business that when you're in a business for so long, you don't always think. And I still think, I might be 40 now, but I still think I'm 23, 24 at heart. I'm not. I don't know really what I'm doing with TikTok or social media, whereas you've got a generation that have just grew up with it. And I think they can offer so much, but we go through, on average, 9 young people to find one good one. And that's not really good enough. And
I think it's a mindset thing though.
I think it's a massive mindset thing. And I think a lot of it is, unfortunately, some people today want to earn the big money before they've learned how to earn the big money. And we're good. Most of my team have been with me a long time. For example, I've got two of the girls that work with us are 2 of the girls that I set up with. They're still here, they still work the accounts, both Jolie and Nita. So I know we're a good place to work, and my management team have all come in from low-end positions and worked their way into being managers. So we do offer that career progression, but there's just so many people now that come and they want to walk before they can run.
They're not willing to put in that.
Not willing to put in, and we've had it before where we've had to get rid of people, and it's never a nice thing having to move people on, but it's a necessity in business, where they genuinely just think they're better than they are. Like, you've only been here 2 weeks, and they just don't get it really.
And honestly, I can't emphasize that enough. My personal opinion is probably a bit harsh, but I think the generation is mentally soft.
Yeah, I agree.
Mentally soft and entitled.
Yeah.
So we run an academy, but I also hire quite regularly in different departments. And the last 2 weeks, I've been trying to hire someone in an admin role.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to give opportunities to students or young adults. But honestly, I'd say 90% of the people I speak to, some of them are probably watching, but I've been honest with them. The sense of entitlement is incredible.
Yeah, and that's what the issue is. Whether it's something as a country or culturally, that we've all got to take responsibility for it.
Yeah.
But there's definitely been a breakdown, and it's a certain age group. You kind of, if people have kind of up to 28, there's like a 10-year age group I'm seeing where there's an issue. Don't get me wrong, it's not all of them, because those that are willing to work and willing to learn are absolutely fantastic. Got one of the girls behind us, Bonnie, she's absolutely great. She came to us straight from school. She's got unbelievable work ethic. She turns up every single day. She's fantastic with people, and she's part of that age group that we're saying there's a problem with. But she's one of the nuggets that are brilliant.
But that's what I mean. We shouldn't be in a position where we're having to try pick out those nuggets.
Correct. Yeah.
And even when I do my work with the university, it's basic things of I don't think any student has ever spoken to me when I've walked across the campus.
Yeah.
Not one. And I said to them in one of the first lectures, how can you think that's normal?
Yeah.
How can you think it's normal not to make eye contact? Because you don't know who is walking past you, right? It's a big mindset shift that's needed, in my opinion. But then going back to the property crisis, then I want to just have a bit of a chat about that, because everyone knows there was a property crash in 2008. There's so much speculation about now property prices where they are, about a crash, but my opinion is people don't actually understand what a property crash is. So go back to 2008. If you were to explain this in simple terms, what happened and why?
Right. So in simple terms, people had mortgages on properties and mortgages were recalled straight away. So banks were turning around and saying, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you owe £100,000 on your house. We want that money back. And people had no option but to kind of either give them the money back or hand that property back so the bank could keep the asset. So that's one of the issues. The other issue is banks just stopped lending because they'd overlent on properties where a property, just for easy numbers, a property might have been valued at £100,000 and they weren't asking Mr. and Mrs. Jones to put enough money in for that property. So what would be sensible is, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, we want £10,000 off you, £15,000 off you for us to give you £100,000. But the bank were actually turning around a few years before that and going, we believe property is just going to keep on increasing. We're not going to give you £100,000. We're not going to ask you for 10. We're actually going to give you £110,000. So the bank were automatically out of money on it. So that is one aspect of it. The other aspect is because banks just stopped lending, people couldn't take mortgages to buy properties. So the whole property market just came to a sudden halt, really. Fortunately, we weren't in a estate agency in 2008. Our
management.
Our objective was, let's get renting. That's all we were looking for. Let's get renting. Let's get tenants in. Because my mantra has always been, everyone needs somewhere to live. Now, it might not be the nicest of houses, but for some people, it's a better option than being in a hostel or in less desirable places. So everyone needs somewhere to live, and that's kind of always been my mantra. And make sure it's good quality accommodation.
So relating that was a great explanation. Relating that to now, current day, do you see similarities? Do you see issues?
I think the property market is still one of the main drivers of the economy in general. Because if you look at the property market, if someone's buying a house, there's a lot of knock-on effects that go with that. You've got solicitors that are needed, you've got finance people that are needed with mortgages, you've got
tax,
you've got tax, you've got stamp duty that's taking place. So you've got lots of kind of going into the economy, but then you've got the spend as well. You've got people going to IKEA to buy new furniture, you've got shops, you've got removal men, you've got handymen because you do work. So there's a lot of driving factors behind the property market. I don't think there's actually a property market issue in terms of value on properties. Value on properties might be high in parts of the country, but certainly the Northwest, I actually think we're probably about right, especially in Blackpool where we are now. Blackpool's never seen a massive increase in value. It's always been pretty steady, like 1-2% increase. So it's not seen the massive peaks and troughs, and there's a lot of development going on in Blackpool, and I think Blackpool's a good place to invest, and I'm going to say that because it's obviously what the market I'm working in. I think where we've got a bigger issue is credit. I think where banks had overlent in 2008 on property, I think banks have now overlent with credit to people. And if people were to lose their jobs, I think that's where we've got a massive issue. I mean, you're more finance related than I am.
I think there's two sides to it. I think the reason I asked about 2008 is because when people talk about the property market now, they try to say it's the same.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not. It's different issues. As you rightly explained, in 2008, the issues were banking and borrowing related.
Yeah.
Right. The issue now is significantly different. It doesn't matter what the property prices are. It's the affordability aspect.
Yeah.
So the issues kind of shifted from institutions to the consumer.
Yeah.
Because if you're a first-time buyer, they're not earning enough.
Yeah.
They're not saving enough. They're not able to put down the deposit. First-time buyer age is higher than ever before.
Yeah.
Right? And it's going to continue going higher unless Bank of Mum and Dad help out. Right? So the issue is consumer related. That's where I feel it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't also help where we've got social media people blating out absolute garbage.
Yeah.
Right, I watched this Stephen Bartlett podcast. If you don't know, if people don't know, I really don't like Stephen Bartlett for various reasons. But he had someone on from America who was so adamant that no one should buy a house. You should never buy a house. You should just rent, which made no sense to me.
Yeah.
Right. So when we're comparing rental market to purchasing a property, what's your opinion here?
I think that we've got a generation that are becoming more accustomed to renting.
Do you think that's a good thing, though?
I don't think it's a good thing, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it comes down to personal preferences. I think you can see the advantages of both. I think ultimately, if you own a property, it's your asset, and you're most likely to make money on property. Someone told me once, you only ever lose money if you cash out at the wrong time. So timing is everything, because most markets, stock market, investments, property, it's all going to increase, it's all going to do that, but it's all going to move in the right direction at the same time. So I think people need to get into the property market at the right price, which comes back to your kind of consumer behaviour and what people can afford to spend. I think if you can use it as a ladder, which is how everyone used to use the property market, so you buy something, maybe do some work to it, improve it, move on in 2 or 3 years' time, buy at the right price, sell at the right price, and keep moving until maybe 3 or 4 moves down the line, you're at that stage where you need to be. However, if you rent, and a lot of people choose to rent because they've become generationally accustomed to it,
but it's also the affordability factor. They can't save enough for a deposit.
It's the affordability factor, and we can't save enough for a deposit. But there is something that I know of in property that's coming in that might navigate that. If you are renting, you don't have any of the associated costs with buildings insurance, maintenance, or anything like that. So there's the advantages of that as well. And you've got the Renters' Rights Act that's coming in, so no more Section 21 notices from 1st of May 2026. So people have got the security of tenure as well, so it does make the rental market more protected and rounded. I don't think there's one kind of, it's not one or the other, to be quite honest. They can both work together. And as you touched on in terms of affordability, lenders are going to start looking at rental payment history in terms of credit.
Insane that they've never done that.
Absolutely
it's insane.
But they've never been able to, because it's been asking people to report on rent, and there's not really been a policeman as such in the rental market, and it's good that is something they're looking at, because absolutely. If someone's rented for 5 years and they've paid the rent on time every month, and most of the time the rent is higher than a mortgage payment, why shouldn't they be? Why shouldn't that be counting towards a credit file?
I think the fundamental issue for a lot of people trying to buy their first homes is trying to save for it. And that's just a different topic, because the lack of financial education for people is astonishing. It's just crazy. The amount of young adults I speak to, and I say to them, do you know what a lifetime ISA is? They're like, no. That's one key element of saving. Then it's the spending habits. I really hate when people start saying to me, oh, can't afford to this, can't afford to that. Maybe so, but what are you doing about it? What are you changing? What are your behaviours, right? I spoke to a young couple. They were, well, she was the daughter of my existing client, and they're looking to save with property, and they just wanted a health check, right? Because they're saying they can't save more than £100 a month. So I went through the health check, and I said to them, you're stupid, because I'm looking at what you're spending. You've got 15 subscriptions. Right? Do you need these? Does
it come back to what we were saying earlier, though, about generational issues?
It's just generational.
It's people living beyond the means.
Oh, absolutely,
and you've got Klarna. I hate Klarna because it's enticing people. It's another Wonga from 10 years ago, where people get enticed and people living beyond the means live less the social media glam style for the likes, live more real.
Of course. So this couple in question, they had Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney. So I said, how many hours a day do you spend on all of those platforms? Because if your idea is to save for a property, your first home, you've got to work for it, you've got to save for it, right? If you're spending 3-4 hours a day on watching crap on TV, that's time where you could make money or do something else. So big issue with financial education, and I'm always quite harsh with a lot of people, but I think we're at a stage where we can't be soft anymore. We have to be harsh. We have to say to these people, look at yourselves first, look at what you're spending, change those behaviours. And I think what you mentioned about Klarna is so right. I regularly meet not only students but young adults that have cars on finance, watches on finance, Klarna on clothes.
It's crazy.
I'm baffled.
Do you not remember, because we're probably about the same age, and I'm sure we will have been told, if you can't afford it,
you don't buy it. No, that's it. What was your first car?
Corsa, Vauxhall Corsa.
And how much did you pay for it?
About £1,000.
I want everyone to listen to that. My first car was a Fiat Punto, and it cost £800.
Yeah. My insurance cost more than the car.
I'm not joking. Yeah, so did mine. My first ever insurance was £2,000. Right? But I'm not joking. You ask anyone that's just passed the driving
they want
test,
the Range Rover. They want the Range Rover. They want the BMW, and
I know people that get a Golf that's 2 years old. That's 20 grand. Or they'll finance a 30 grand car. Or I don't think anyone will spend less than 10 grand on a new car, which is insane.
It's crazy. It's only in the past. Well, this year I bought myself a nice car. So I've worked hard, and a few projects came to fruition. I bought myself a nice car. But before that, I've had run-of-the-mill cars. A car is a car.
If you can afford it, fine. But what we're trying to get to the crux of is the problem of people not being able to buy their homes, but yet they can do that. It makes no sense, and that's where you need to look at yourself. So my message to anyone that's under the age of 30, I'd say, right? If you are trying to save and you're serious about saving, please don't, drift about in a finance car. Please don't just, buy a car for 10, 12 grand if it's your first car. You need to apply common sense from the start, and parents can do better as well at that point.
I think parents can do better. I think we've all got to take responsibility for, as a community. We've got to do better, because you've got an issue. We've got an issue not just coming down the line, it's here. That, you know, you can't allow people to be spending more than people are living beyond the means, and they're putting it on the credit card, or they're putting it on Klarna and leaving it to another day. Well, I think that's where the next credit crunch is going to come, and it's not the property market, it's not banks, because bank lending is pretty sensible now. It's people living beyond. It's people living beyond the means, and people just need to rein it in a little bit.
And this is where I'm going to reference one of my TikTok videos, because I noticed it got absolutely ripped apart, the Rolex video, because I was stood outside the Rolex shop looking at a 40 grand watch, and I said, you'd have to be really stupid to buy that, but people missed the point. I said later on in that video, if you buy a £40,000 watch, you better have at least 120 plus in the bank.
3 times.
At least, that's my rule.
Yeah, 3 times.
But if you've got £40,000 in the bank and you want to buy a £40,000 watch, you've got something fundamentally wrong with you.
Yeah.
And that's where we are.
Yeah. I know someone, I actually was having a conversation with someone, a good friend of mine, at the weekend, and he's about to come into some money, and he said, what should I do with it? I went, invest it.
Yeah.
He went, what? But I was going to spend it on this, that and the other. I went, no. I went, whatever debts you've got, clear that, but get that money invested, because there's no point you not having money working for you. Get money working for you. That's more sexy, in my opinion.
Growth too.
Yeah. And you know what's really, really good? I've got a Monzo account, and it's great how they work the savings and the investments. You can put 1p in, you can do roundups and everything, and it moves it into a savings account and you don't touch it. And that's a good app for just managing money for people. And I just think people need to be more sensible. Probably need to go back into school and go, why are we teaching people algebra?
It's just, we're too cautious in the society. And I want to reference actually Martin Lewis here, because I like Martin Lewis, but I think he has a good impact educationally, but he's had a bad impact the last 10 years. The reason why, this week, I don't know if you've seen, he did a session on investing, right? But the last 10 years, he's always been about cash, security, cautiousness, and highest cash rates. But if you look at the last 10 years, what he's actually recommended has been behind inflation. Now he's done a session of investing. Well, he should have done that a lot more. But I get the regulation behind it. His hands were tied. But even he is part of the issue, because if people like him are saying cash, savings rate, and not the word investing, you're part of the problem.
Yeah, absolutely, you're part of the problem. And the budget, as much publicity as it got before it happened, the budget wasn't quite as bad as everyone was expecting. Although, in my opinion, the damage was done before, with all the nasty sound bites that came out. But again, one of the big things of the budget
was trying to get people to invest.
To try and get people invested in Britain, in British companies. I think that's really, I think it's so important, because I've seen something, you probably know better. If you put £1 away a week and you keep, it goes and goes and goes, it turns out to be like £100,000 or something silly over a 30-40 year period.
Compound growth. Compound growth. Because again, when we're talking about investing, there's different things that you can invest in, but it's just a lack of education that people have. But the thing is, don't be a sheep and follow what everyone's doing, because there's a few Facebook groups that I have major problems with. The first thing to do is just get started. Get started, do the basics, get that investing mentality, and just take it from there, because compounding is a wonderful thing. When I speak to young parents and they've got young children, I always say to them, provide an inheritance for your children whilst they're young. And the easiest way to do that is stick a couple of £1,000 into their pension. And by the time you're gone and they're old enough, you've provided them with a massive amount of money that's just grown through compounding. But anyway, going back to your sort of industry, The next question I want to ask is in relation to a different market, which is the investment market.
Yeah.
Because I've got a lot of personal opinion, and this is opinion based.
Yeah.
What are your opinions on investment properties and people investing in properties in that way now?
Yeah. To touch on what you just said before about social media, there's a lot of property social media influencers that talk absolute gobbledygook, in my opinion, and they're providing incorrect information.
What type of things?
They're turning round and saying you can buy this property for such amount and you're going to get this level of return. You might get that level of return gross, not net. And some people come into property on the basis they're coming in and hearing the headlines. They need to do the research. And we partnered a few years ago with a few influencers and we did well out of it. We got some good clients. But we realised those clients were coming to us uneducated in property. So if there was an issue with maintenance, that's not what I was told. I was told I was getting £9,000 a year in. I've only got 5. Well, you've got 5 because you've got maintenance, you've got insurance, you've got management fees, you've got mortgages, you've got this, that and the other. So in my opinion, so we took over doing that and we've got our own social media accounts and YouTube channels, and I go on road shows and speak to people about investing in property because it's all about educating. Property, in my opinion, is still the best form of investment going. The reasons for that are it's bricks and mortar, it's never disappearing, people always need somewhere to live. Properties historically always increase in value as well. It won't make you rich quick. It won't pay for a nice holiday every year. It might pay for a nice holiday every few years, but it's a safe form of investment. The market is changing with the Renters' Rights Act that's coming in, which is going to revolutionise how people rent properties and bring in tighter regulation. I agree with most of it, with the Renters' Rights Act, in terms of the abolition of Section 21 notice, which for those that don't know, Section 21 notice is basically you can give notice to a tenant that's renting your house and give them no reason whatsoever why you're terminating that tenancy. What it does is make sure that if you are ending the tenancy as a landlord, you've got to have a valid ground, so that is rent arrears or the tenancy is not being conducted properly, or you want to sell the property. So that is a massive change in investment and buy-to-let property. But at the same time, I think it'll improve tenant relationships. It'll keep tenants in a property for longer. Rents are increasing, so that's a good thing because your yield's going to increase, and it'll protect your property value as well. So I still think investment in property is a really good thing. Yet you can't offset interest if it's in your own name of property, but if it's in a limited company you can, but then you've got a double taxation issue. But we give all that advice to people before they come to us.
This is where we probably differ, because I'm completely the opposite way of thinking, because I don't think property investments now are as good as they used to be. So I look at my own parents, 80s, 90s, they invested in properties, lots of properties, commercial, residential, buy-to-lets, etc. It was great for them. But in current times, I struggle to actually recommend an investment property because I look at all the asset classes, right? So I'll give you a very simple example. Let's take averages. Let's take an average teacher. An average teacher will be, if they've got 10, 15 years worth of experience, probably on about 46,000, 47,000, so near the 40% tax threshold. If they buy a buy-to-let property that's worth 150,000.
Yeah.
How much do they need as a deposit?
So on that, you are looking at £32,500.
Okay, so they need 32,500. That's problem number one. We
Yeah.
go back to what we spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
Number two, what rental income could they get? Let's talk Northwest, Blackpool.
Well, I think your £150,000 for a rental property is over egged. You can pay that, but you can also pay a lot less. So let's work on the average property value in Blackpool for a rental property, £124,000, £125,000. Most of our clients are buying sub 100, so therefore you're £20,000. But for £125,000 to £150,000, you're probably looking at the moment at between £11,000 and £12,000 a year return.
Okay, so if we've got, let's just average out £12,000, that's gross.
Yeah.
Now, for that average teacher, we have to appreciate that, give or take, 40% is gone.
Yeah.
Because of tax.
Yeah.
Right? So we're now left with about 8,000.
Yeah.
What other deductions are there? So there's the mortgage.
Yeah.
Average.
It's probably borrowing about 90 to 100. So what your repayment there is probably about 550, 600 a month.
Yeah.
Probably. So from
about 6,000.
Yeah. So you're £6,000 there off 11. So you're left with 5. And then you've got your insurance, a couple of £100. Your net, you're probably left with about 4.5%, 5%.
So in my head, I'm looking at, once you've done everything, factoring in maintenance and normal repairs, around 3 to 4.
Yeah.
From a 12,000 rental.
Yeah.
Now, again, there's a place, as you said earlier, there's a place and a market for investment properties as part of a broader portfolio.
Yeah.
Right? But when we were talking about the best investments, I can't confidently say property because of that.
Really? See, I still think what you're not looking at there is the capital appreciation.
Capital appreciation, which
of the
is
property as well, which should always be about 1 to 2% a year. So you've got to take that into account. I think with anything as well, it depends at what level you're buying that property at. If you're buying something at 150, which was your opening figure, you're probably buying too high for a 3-bedroom semi. If you're looking at buying something at 150 and it's got flats in, or it's multi-use with commercial maybe downstairs and flats above, or it's 3 flats in a building, you're increasing your return.
Yeah.
On average, we are buying for clients at minimum 10% return, gross. So, you've got your knockoffs, you've got deductions. You've got deductions on everything, but at least that property is gonna retain its value. It costs something to knock down. It costs something to. It's got a value to it. Stock market. I own stocks and shares, but it's a piece of paper. It can set on fire. It can disappear overnight. So I always think investment in property, it's not get rich quick. It's definitely not that. So you're right in terms of your mindset of it's giving you £3,000 or £4,000 a year net, but long term, I think it's the best investment.
Yeah.
It's the best form of investment.
I guess long term can be subjective, but the reason why I gave 150,000 as an example is because 3 years ago, it'll be 3 years ago in January, I know someone within my family, obviously I'm not going to mention who invested 150,000 after selling a property.
Right.
And in those 3 years, they have averaged net growth of about 14,000 a year.
Right.
Tax-free.
Yeah.
And I get what you're saying about a piece of paper, but it's how you invest it, where you invest it.
Yeah.
So we utilise things like stocks and shares ISAs, unit trusts that feed the ISAs, and eventually pretty much all of it was tax-free.
Yeah.
Now, obviously looking at that, again, you're comparing apples and oranges, which I appreciate. But this is where I quite like the debate, because I'm probably on this side, you're on that side.
I always think as well, property, you've got more chance of buying something that you can improve something. So you can create value in property. So don't just be looking at something and go, that's finished. And that's what I'm, for example, I bought for a client the other day a house for £29,000. The solicitor got on the phone and went, what have you done? How have you got a house for £29,000? I went, listen, it needs a lot of work. He went, did you wear a balaclava and go around with the heavies or something to get this? I went, no, the house needs an awful lot of work doing. It's missing a floor, it's missing this. But that house, we've got a lot of work to do to it, but that house is probably worth £110,000 done up. So it's looking and finding value. I read something a few weeks ago, and it was an investment guru, and turned around and went, people are missing on property hidden gems just because we think that doesn't fit the criteria. It's a bit ugly. But actually, if you look at something, a rundown property, and you can find value, you can maximise value. It might be a shop, and you go, oh, it's a shop, I don't want to own a bakery. Well, it doesn't have to always be a bakery. You can get a change of use. You can put accommodation upstairs. You can create return from something. And it's buying sensibly. If you're looking at buying something and you can do that's £150,000 and you're doing no work to it, you're paying market price, then your returns will be lower, but you can maximise your returns if you buy clever.
And it goes back to the education piece,
Correct.
Which is, even it's wonderful for me, because I said to you off camera before we started, everyone I speak to, I always take something from. So, and I confess to you, I've got my area of specialisms, and I have got my area of weaknesses, like all people. So me hearing that about properties, it's put something in my head, like, okay, do I need to educate myself a bit more on the markets? Because, for example, I don't know what the market is in Blackpool. I don't know what the market is in other cities. It's considerably different wherever you go. You've got student market, you've got professional market, you've got investment market. So me, myself, I'd like to learn more, which is great.
Well, I've been doing road shows all year saying about how Blackpool is the place to invest at the moment, because it's way behind national average on property values, but your rental income is so high as well compared nationally against national averages. And in Blackpool as well, and the Fylde Coast, a third of people rent properties privately. The property ownership in the area is the lowest, much lower than national average. And you've got a lot of regeneration now going on in Blackpool. So Blackpool is one of the premier places, in my opinion, to put money.
Let's say there's a few investors listening to this. Or let's say I'm an investor. What steps do I need to take then to learn more about the Blackpool market and take that step forward?
So we do education sessions, basically. We do reviews with people, and you can book in with us, and we can.
It's quite different.
Not everyone does it. Not everyone does it at all, because people always say about Tiger that they see us as an estate agency because they see our for sale boards. Estate agency makes up 25% of what we do as a business. It's the smallest part of our business, actually. When you look at kind of the headline departments, the rest is property lettings, management, investments, maintenance, building works. That is where the rest all pulls in. So we offer that. We offer guides like, this is how to get involved in buy-to-let. This is how you start. And one of the key things I always say to people is, don't rush in. Don't rush in on a deal, because there'll be another one. So, and don't ever get emotionally attached to a property. They're really kind of important things. And we have investors come from out of town, and we take care of them. We sort hotels for them. We drive them around. We show them the areas. We show them where not to invest. We show them where to invest. We show them where the works are going, where the next projects are. so they can really get a firm grip of the area and know where. And we do it in Preston as
and
well.
you know what, that service is actually it's refreshing to hear, because I've never come across an estate agent, or as my perception perception estate agent that does that.
Yeah, and do you know where it comes from? If you worked in Dubai, we were talking off camera, when you had a client fly out to Dubai, you didn't just turn around and say, Jack, I'm here to view that apartment. You took care of them.
Yeah.
And
well, it's the full bells and whistle.
It's the full bells and whistle, and it comes from that kind of idea. I love American salespeople.
Yeah.
America, for me, they're the best salespeople in the world. Even if they're not a salesperson, they know how to sell, and that's how America and Americans look after you as well, because it's a service. And from my point of view, we want to build that relationship from the off, because it's not just, we're not selling you something and then forgetting about you. We're building a relationship, because what we want to do, we want to get you buying properties with us. We want to be looking after the property. We want you buying more properties with us as well. And we want to kind of build that relationship, and we have done portfolio building, and it's really important. And we're now trying to launch our franchising and use the same model, because every area is the same.
Yeah.
It's, property's the same, it's just slightly different areas, and it's got their own little uniquenesses.
So if someone wants to get into this market, talk to me about the finances. What do they need to put down? What should they have?
They should have 25% for loan to value, and we can sort all that out as well, because we've got finance partners all set up there. That's what they do. They specialise in buy-to-let finance. So our finance team work through that, and they'll tell them how much deposit they need, if we can get them free legals so it doesn't cost them anything on legals or surveys before they buy a property. We will give them a quote before if there's works that need to be done to get that property habitable. So they'll need to work into an account how much deposit they need on a property, how much we might need to spend before they get the property, and then we kind of go, and that's what the property value should be at the end, and that's how much rental income is. But ignore what the property value is at the end, just look at what you've spent on it. That's what your true return is.
Okay, so in terms of a monetary figure then, if I have investors, or someone listening might be interested, if they have £30,000, you're saying to them, that's good to go?
Yeah, that's good to go. So I'd be able to give them a wide variety of properties to buy, because that's going to give them up to £100,000.
Yeah. See, this is where I don't have an issue. So, like I said, we've got different ideas of investing because we're in different areas. But my sort of objective is to say to people, invest somewhere rather than nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? I would say to people, get in touch with you, because genuinely, if that's the case, then why not?
Yeah.
That's my phone. And that's probably someone calling to inquire about this.
Already.
Now, we've spoken about the markets quite a lot. Now, I want to talk to you about yourself.
Yeah.
Because from 2008 to 2025, you've had this growth. Tell me about the journey.
Yeah, it's long, hard, lots of fallouts, lose friends along the way, but it's rewarding. And ultimately, I look at it and go, you don't get any time off. Even if you go on holiday, unfortunately, these little horrible things follow us everywhere. And they help, but it also means you never ever switched off. But the journey's been a really good one, and we touched on it. I don't remember if it was off camera or on camera. When you start a business, how a business evolves. And when we started, it was just, let's get renting, let's find a tenant for a flat. And part of that reason was so that I knew what was coming in through the front door every week. I knew, right, if I get all that renting, I know what I've got. Whereas sales is a little bit more, it fluctuates. You don't know what's coming in day after day or week after week. And we went against the grain, and I was young, and we were a young company, and we were probably disruptors initially. Everyone worked to a fixed fee. Everyone took still photographs. We worked differently. I came up with a fixed fee when we went into sales. I went, why are we charging 1%? Fix it. Let people know from the outset what they're paying. Why is it just still photographs? Let's do virtual tours, which at that time it was just a camera that span around with a fisheye lens. Let's offer floor plans. So the whole business just evolved, and kind of we went from renting. 2 years later we were into sales, and then we bought out a competitor who was an estate agency, and that was actually a really good time, because that competitor he owned his own company, brought him in, he was able to just look after the sales side, and I looked after the lettings and management side, and that worked well. And then he moved on a few years later, and we brought it all in-house, and we started refining processes just to improve things and make things more efficient and streamlined. And then we end up, just because you work so hard and you go to every networking event possible and you become known, and you get a good reputation, and you're helping people build portfolios.
It just looks after itself.
It just starts looking after itself, and it grows and grows and grows. And we went from, not managing many properties to now managing 2,000 units. And some of that's been done through buying companies, and some of it's been done by kind of neutral growth. But yeah, it's been a journey. My wife gets annoyed whenever we're away, and she goes, "Just put your phone down. You're on holiday." And I go, "Yeah, I will." But
are you one of those? I'm going to quickly nip to the bathroom.
Nip to the bathroom and do some emails. But actually, I probably do some of my best work when I'm sat on the sunbed. I come up with my best ideas.
Now, throughout that journey, you mentioned a couple of things: fallouts and loose friends.
Yeah.
Elaborate on those.
Yeah. So
I love a bit of controversy.
There's been business partners over time that you move on, and you become close with them, and you have fallouts and you have disagreements, and ultimately I'm quite stubborn at times. I'm very driven, and it's just a case of, I know the path that we're on, I know the right path that we're on, and hopefully where we are now is kind of proven.
So were the fallouts more strategy related then? Or?
Some of them were strategy related, some of it was when I've employed friends and they've took the piss.
Right.
So not turning up to work, not sacking it off when they should be doing stuff. Unfortunately, that's many years ago. So it's a learning curve. Yeah. Every day you learn something new, and
well, that's one of the reasons, sort of, in my line of work, I do not work with friends or family members.
Yeah.
It's just a rule I've had from day one.
Yeah, it's a good rule.
I don't, even when they ask me for advice, I met up with two friends actually last weekend, and they were asking me for advice, and the first thing I said to them, look, I don't work with friends or family. That's it. But I'm happy to give you my time and tell you, okay, you can do it somewhere else, and I'll tell you what to do.
Yeah.
But I'm not working with you.
Yeah.
And you learn, I guess, on the journey.
It was on the journey. It was early on in the journey, fortunately.
So do you have business partners now, or just yourself?
Just myself. My dad is still a shareholder because my dad helped me in those very early days with, a bit of investment, and he's still a shareholder in the company. But yeah, no, it's just me.
Yeah.
And I've had partners of the business that have been cutting on profit shares and stuff, but it's just me. And
the other thing that you mentioned about your journey was the rewarding aspect.
Yeah.
We both know as business owners how rewarding it can be.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the rewards.
Rewards aren't financial, and people sometimes probably look at it and go, oh, the rewards are financially. They're not. The rewards are looking back and going, look where we've come, or looking at the team that I've built, my management team that we've built, and go, I remember when they came to me and we had to teach them how to answer a phone. We had to pick them up because they had that thing going on in their personal life, and we supported them. They're the real rewards for me.
So it's the pride in what you've built.
So pride in what I've built, and you're in it. So sometimes you don't review, and I think that's a bad thing for all business owners. Sometimes you don't get the chance to reflect and go, do you know what? Look how far we've come. For example, I was looking at the accounts the other day, and 10 years ago when we first moved, 11 years ago, we moved into this office, and I thought, brilliant, made it. We've got a really nice office at long last compared to where we were, which wasn't the nicest place in Blackpool, but it worked for us for the first 7 years, 8 years. And I look back and go, do you know what we were doing in half a year, in 6 months, we now do in a month. And that's kind of the bit that goes, I've done something right. Because sometimes you feel like you've got imposter syndrome and you feel like, am I doing the right thing? But I like to think whatever I have done, I've created employment for 28, 30 people. We're housing 2,000 people. We're helping around about 1,200 landlords. We're selling 350 houses a year. We offer a good service, and whatever it is, the process and systems that we've put in place, they've worked, and we've got a good team.
And finally, where's the journey going to and ending?
I've had this question a lot. The journey's not ending for a long time. There's a lot of projects in the pipeline. So I touched on it earlier. We are launching franchising. I'm a big believer that what we've got is something that can be taken to different areas and used really successfully, because we are going to offer all the support, and people go out and find landlords and properties to manage. And then we've got the kick-on extras that people can tap into as well for generating extra money. And like I've said, estate agency, great industry, but you don't know what's coming in. Week in, week out. Lettings and management might be a little bit more boring or less sexy, but it's consistent. And we're at a position where we've got that we want to unleash. We've got a testing year next year with the change in law with the Renters' Rights Act coming in on the 1st of May. So we've got a lot of tenancy agreements and paperwork that we've got to change. We're also developing an app software as well.
So you're moving forward with the times.
We're moving forward. We're always moving forward.
Yeah.
We're doing work. You will have seen builders going back and forth around space here. So we're creating more space. We always try and get year on year 10 to 15% growth. So that's what we're always striving for, but it's looking at the new things as well. How can we forward think and make the experience better for our clients as well? So that's where we're heading.
Well, it's exciting times, and I think for me the takeaway is the education part.
Yeah. It shocks you, hasn't it?
Well, it has, because it has shocked me, because when you look at different industries, I think there's so much lack of education. So if you have business owners that are actually doing it, it does shock me, because I think that's the core problem, where people are not versed well enough. And if you're offering it, I would say to investors, potential investors, there you go. Speak to someone that knows this stuff.
And we do know our stuff, and that's why I've been asked to go around the country on road shows and speak to people about it. And I've always been told, if you see a train leave a station, you've missed it. Blackpool, the train is in the station, but the steam's coming out the funnel. And I think it's now is a fantastic opportunity. You've got to invest money. You have to invest money, and like you touched on, savings don't keep up with inflation, so you have to invest it. And property, for me, if you buy at the right value and have the right support, will always be the best form of investment.
Well, on that analogy, let's end it there.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jack.
Cheers. Appreciate it.